McCormick, the 2015 PGA Teacher of the Year. And this is a show that we are super excited about because we're going to take one of the most critical parts of your game and take it up to a PhD level. We're talking about putting, and considering that Cameron is the coach of Jorden Speith, one of the greatest in the world, with what happens right here on the putting green. So, Cameron, the connection between what we've talked about in prior shows about putting and bringing it up to this elite level, that's the bridge that we're going to make today.
That is the bridge. And the first part of getting somewhere is knowing what your starting point is. So if you're lost, you need to kind of find out why you're lost. And so self-assessment is a critical skill that the best players in the world demonstrate as they're working through trying to get better, and they become really, really adaptive. So to frame the conversation, we've got line control, we've got force control, and we've got some green reading. Let's put all those things together in this first segment of PhD putting and put them to the test. Create a self-assessment game that you can do at home. You don't need a coach to help you through. It helps you read the feedback to identify targets for improvement, those components in the skill of putting that are going to help you improve. So we need 5 balls for this game. The game is called 3-point, okay? We need 5 balls. We need 1 tee and 2 ball markers. We certainly need to identify a starting point for starters. So I've got a ball marker, a tee. You might put a tee starting in the ground right here. And I step back and I read a 15 to 18 feet. I'm going to take in the macro perspective along with the micro. I've got a little bit of left to right break, and I've got a massive slope coming from the high side here down to the low side, okay? I'm going to take this single tee. I'm going to place it 3 feet past the hole. We're going to call this our safety zone. 1, 2, 3. Stick it in the ground. Okay, any putt of those 5 that I get past the front edge that doesn't go past that back tee, I count as 1 point, okay? Then, based on how I read the putt, I take my 2 ball markers, and I like to use these flat ball markers right here that you can get from any golf shop, the little plastic ones, because if the ball rolls over it, it won't deviate very much, if at all, offline. Okay, I've got a read point, and about half the distance or 2/3 of the distance along the ball's travel to the hole, I'm going to put these ball markers down the width of my putter head. Now, as a point of reference here, when I'm setting this task up for any one of the world's best players that I challenge with this game, I set it up actually inside the edges of the putter face, not outside. So as a starting point, let's set it up outside. That's the challenge point that I'm going to try and be successful at here today.
Why do you do that, Cameron? Does it make it a little harder when you set it on the inside?
So what I want to know is whether I start my ball on my intended line. So if I roll my ball through those 2 ball markers, I also count as a second point. And so where does that 3rd point come from, which gives the drill or the game the name 3-point? It happens when I marry together a good read with a good start direction, meaning I'm rolling my ball through the gates, with the optimal speed that will cause the ball to go into the hole. So a made putt is potentially 3 points. Okay, let's give it a shot here. All the while, I'm trying to read the feedback. Okay, I missed my gate a little on the right-hand side, and I left it short of the hole. What did I score? I scored 0, goose egg on that first putt. What feedback do I know? What I have is I have an understanding now that I need to aim a little bit higher. I need to work on my stroke to make sure I get it started on line. There's a reason my ball didn't hit my gate. It could be aim or it could be stroke. I also need to hit it a little firmer. I can probably infer, because I need to take a higher line, that the read's probably pretty good, actually. Okay, got it through. In the safety zone, I scored 2 points. What do I need to adjust now? That's what's going through my mind. As a player, I'm thinking I could probably hit it a little softer, and the ball's going to take a little bit more break and probably catch the high edge of the hole now. Okay, 2 balls, 2 points. Ball 3, here we go. I've got a little higher aim point from the first one. Trying to do the same thing as the second one, but dial down the volume just a little bit. That force control. Okay, so when it hits the ball marker like that one did, I actually don't count that as a successful point. I want it to roll through those ball markers, okay? So I only scored 1 point there. I've got 3 balls and 3 points. Now, as a point of reference, challenging the best players in the world with this task, or any high-performance player, maybe playing in college, I want them to score 10 points or above on a simple putt like this. So what I know right now, I've hit 3 putts. Not one of them's gone in the hole. I need to work on one or a combination of those skill triad elements, right? Skill code of putting. And right now, what's evident is I need to work on my line control. I don't have tour level accuracy, do I? Okay, got it to the hole. That's 4 balls, 4 points. I'm going to take this final ball right here, and I'm going to see if I can't make it for a 3-point putt.
Come on, Cameron.
There we go. I got a cheer score. Thanks, Matty.
That's it.
That might be it. And we did it. So I scored 7 points. Like I said, best players in the world, collegiate players, high performers, the PhD level putting skill, they should be able to score 10 or more points on a simple exercise like that.
So one of the things you heard Cam say there as he was going through all this was tour level accuracy. What does it mean? Can you hit your target if you don't know how to aim? So accuracy is where we're going to go when we come back on the Skill Code.
Great news. Liberty Mutual customized.
I deliver the news around here. Sources say Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Know how to aim, it's really hard to hit your target. And to aim like the best in the world, that takes it to a whole nother level.
It sure does. So following along from the assessment from segment 1, we're now into if we've identified that we need to develop that tour level accuracy, then we can get some help. We can recruit some help along the way. So I love to use training aids that provide a template for the what we'll call the premium pattern or the ideal pattern. In this case, I've got a nice little template right here that has a very flat arc shape, an arc shape that then allows me to predict that the arc is going to be consistently traveling close to the target line as I'm just working the putter, tracing it back and forth. So I'm actually letting my eyes work back and forth, watching the white line on my putter here as it travels along its pathway. Now, building along the skill element of accuracy, we understood that it was both a combination of path direction, what I was just describing, but what the ball knows most importantly is the face angle at impact. If the face angle is just half a degree open, ball's going to start to the right, and from 10 feet right here, half a degree is going to cause it to hit the edge of the hole. Half a degree to the left is going to cause it to hit the edge of the hole left. So we need to prioritize face control as the primary factor for PhD or tour level putting. So the beauty of this aid also is it gives me these notches or checkpoints of what face perpendicular to the path along the backswing and then along the follow through are that then serve as guides, okay? So the way this works is I develop a sense for what this stroke would be by stopping in the backswing, making that checkpoint, stopping in the forward swing, making that checkpoint for face. Then I start to develop some fluidity to the stroke, creating that same sensation. When I start putting on my aid right here, if I see that my ball is starting offline, certainly not the feedback that I'm looking for that tells me I'm doing it correctly, but that in and of itself is actually a good step in the right direction, because what it tells me is, Cameron, on the next one, I'm going to feel a little bit less of that face pivot. Try and start to stabilize the club face. Okay, so I overdid it just a little bit too much, didn't I? I got that right tee that time. So now what I have is I have good point of reference for where the middle might be, that precise zero face alignment that's going to cause my ball to start on line and get up there in that hole. Okay, so we've used this as a starting point to check the technique. But in order to capture PhD tour level accuracy, we've got to advance. So what I have now is I have a little gate crasher drill where I've pushed 2 tees down into the ground, starting probably 6-7 inches out in front of where my ball's sitting, and I've got the ball positioned so there's maybe, well, I would call that 1/4 of an inch of space between the very perimeter, the edge of the ball, to the middle of the ball, and the tee head right there. Now, what I want to see here is I want to see that I can get my ball started consistently on line, just like I was able to, or just like we would be able to if we stayed on that training aid for some 10, maybe even 15 repetitions, so 10 or 15 putts. Let's see how I do. I might do it here 2 or 3 times. There's 1. There's 2. And 3. Now we get into a progression that says, cool, I can do it on a straight putt, but can I do it on a breaking putt? So I've got the exact same setup right here But now I'm going to highly prioritize using the line on the ball and using what I call barrel sighting, where I use the shaft of the club right over the top of the line on the ball, the Pro V1X stripe, to validate that stripe is pointing directly through that tee gate, then gives that ball a good chance to start on line. Now it's a task of marrying together the accuracy, the read, and the speed. I'll demonstrate this once more. I like to set up 2 of these stations, a pretty high line right to left, so we've got to find some slope. Okay, barrel-sided away.
Yeah, this isn't an easy putt, Cam.
This is not easy at all. This is kind of an Augusta type of putt. There we go.
Very well done.
So as a review on those critical points, we've got to build our stroke precision, don't we?
Yeah.
We've got to use training aids because they're helpful, yeah? Then we want to validate that those stroke mechanics that can prove to us we're getting started on line are still sticky out there. And then we got to challenge it.
I love the challenge, but we're not done yet because as we were talking about accuracy and getting started with that, what else do the best in the world do better than anybody else that takes them to their PhD level when it comes to putting? We'll talk about that when we come back.
It took us 3 years.
So if they need to compete,
all of his top-tier performance, including Jorden Spieth. So, Cameron, this is like PhD-level touch.
it is indeed. We're trying to develop that PhD-level touch, that touch that the LPGA, PGA, European Tours exemplify the world over. So what we have here for you right now is a tour-level challenge point. The game is called 1551, where I distribute balls starting at 15 feet away from a target flag, 1 yard increments all the way back to 51 feet. I've placed an alignment rod, some marker there 3 feet behind the back edge of the hole. We're going to call that our safety zone. When I'm putting from 15 feet all the way back to 27 here, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for my ball to move past the front edge of the hole, no further past than that back stick. We're going to call that a par. Any ball that I leave short of the hole is a bogey. Any ball that touches that stick is a bogey. Any ball that goes in is a birdie. As soon as I reach the double balls back here, that's the 30-foot mark, I'm going to give myself a grace zone. I'm going to say that getting it up close to the hole, within a foot short of the hole, is also a par. Anything more short than 1 foot, I'm going to call a bogey. Now, all the while, the best players in the world have this amazing skill that's called error detection, meaning before they look up on any shot, but in this case a putt, before they look up and observe what's happened with the ball, they have this intuitive sense whether it's going to turn out the way they expected, whether the outcome of the ball matched what that feeling was. And we're going to try and develop that by guessing where the ball is going to end up before I actually look up. So Matty's going to probably give me some grief here as I'm working through, but let's give it a shot, mate. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so I'm putting from 15 feet. Certainly give it some practice swings or rehearsals as you're doing this. Okay, ball number 1. I'm going to say that's in. Whoa.
No.
Okay, so error detection, not really good then. I've left it at least a foot short. I'm already 1 over par. I move back. At no point do I have to repeat any putt in this exercise. What I'm treating this exercise as a learning experiment. That one's definitely firmer than the first one. That's in the safety zone.
No, it hit the stick.
Ooh, that one went way too far. I'm all of a sudden 2 over par. Certainly, at this point, I'm thinking, I need some work on my PhD touch, don't I? I think that's in the safety zone.
It looks like it.
I think I need a line judge to determine whether that one's in.
I'll give you that one.
All right, good. I talked you into it. Okay, I'm 2 over par through 3 balls. That one's maybe past, but on the right side?
That one's in.
Okay, that's in. All right, one more ball. I'm going to start to aim a little bit further left. I'm getting the impression that I'm not playing enough break.
How did that feel?
That one's hard. Hit the hole. Uh-oh, 3 over par. Now I've reached 30 feet. I kick that ball to the side.
Remind us again the objective here?
Yeah, the objective here is to get it still in the safety zone, but I've added 1 foot margin short of the hole of what we'll call allowable kind of lag safety zone. All right, here we go. Get up just a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, that time, that skill of error detection that I talked about was really, really strong, wasn't I? I knew I left it short immediately. So even though I'm not performing really well at this task, what am I, 4 over par now, 3 over par? Yeah, I'm not performing well at the game. What I am doing is it's increasing the sensitivity that I have for the force that I'm applying to the ball. That one's good.
What do you feel the union of force and feel was there?
That one was really good.
Yeah, that's strong.
Okay, here we go. We got 6 balls remaining. Get up just a little bit.
It's not bad,
Just
Cam.
a little bit. All right, that's in the safety zone. That's pretty good.
That's the best of the day.
Still want to make one here, mate. I want to hoop it from long range. That was heeled out to the right. Error detection really good, but it's in the safety zone.
Yep. So how much would you play a game like this with Jorden?
We do it almost every day. We're at practice back in Dallas, and every time, that one's hammered. Every time we go to a new green, evidently it wasn't, every time we go to a new green, we'll do it. So at a tour event, he should be doing this every day to some degree. Okay, 3 balls remaining. How many over par am I, mate?
You were at 4.
That's good. Up a little bit. Go, 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 go.
Very well
Now I'm
done.
5.
Very well done.
That's in.
Feedback?
In. Oh, so close. All right, last putt here. You know, Matty, I remember Chambers Bay Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday playing this game with Jorden and having to stretch it back on those fast, huge greens all the way to 70, maybe even 80 feet.
How'd that
and it was
feel?
amazing how good his touch was.
go
I think
in.
I made it. Boom.
Yes! All right, well done. All right, so as you just saw, this game does have benefits for that PhD level feel, and it's an exact exercise that Cameron uses with Jorden Spieth, even at the biggest events in the world. But the biggest events in your life, when it comes down to putting, sometimes it's here. It's about the psychology. That's where we're going next. Best players in the world do the same. How do they think? What do they do? How they act? Well, to the thinking part, now we're talking about psychology. Take us through that critical part of putting.
It's absolutely critical, particularly when we get to this range of putt, right? We're at that knee knocker length, the 3-footers that tour players statistically convert on at 97, 98, 99%. But the recreational golfers, you know, they become so challenged by these simple putts, or relatively simple putts, because expectations shift so high. They're playing in a foursome, and what if I miss? What are the guys or the girls going to say if they miss that putt? And so this becomes this heavy psychological burden. So now we're going to talk about a couple of strategies that are used by a lot of tour players out there, male and female alike, to overcome this psychological burden. The first is a pre-performance routine. And when we talk about routines, most people talk about, okay, the number of practice strokes, the number of seconds. Well, I couldn't care less about the physical component unless the physical component is attached to the kinesthetic, the feel of the stroke, and also the imagination. There's a part of our brain, there's neurons in our brain called mirror neurons. And what we do is when we visualize success, I can see in my mind and almost rehearse the feeling of the stroke, standing right back behind it, take a really precise focus. So what I've got right here is I've got a tee planted in the back edge of the hole, and that becomes my target. It's not the entirety of the hole, it's the back edge of the hole. It's that really precise focus on the tee. Okay, I've got my focus. Now I'm destined for success. Boom. Okay, hit that tee. It almost bounced out of the hole. Now, the other component of the success of psychology is dialing down those expectations, or dialing down the burden of if I miss, almost taking a very carefree approach. So what we do is we become a little bit more target reactive, hopefully, when we move through this with some speed. So the principle here is, again, borrowing from some examples that I see tour players really successful with. They don't delay, they don't burden themselves with a bunch of time over the ball. They're gunslingers. They step up to it and they just go. And they go. They take one glance and they go.
Are you reactive intuitively even to the break?
Intuitively to the break. And the more you create this type of exercise in your practice, what you do is you really don't have time to labor over the miss or the make. All you're doing is you're relying on what you've practiced for so long when you're working on those skills independently, right? All right, create the picture instantaneously, then trigger the stroke, okay? I'm not too concerned when I miss, though, and this is the attitude, that carefree attitude that we at home need to cultivate. We need to cultivate this athlete inside all of us, this gunslinger inside all of us, to allow a greater sense of success that will turn into the actual success of making these knee knockers. The overarching premise of this was, let's equip the golfer out there with an understanding of what are the necessary skills and also an understanding of the codes that unlock an ability for you at home to develop the skills that are going to net out lower scores at the end of the day.
Cameron, good job. Thank you for spending the time with all of us that you have in imparting all of this thought and wisdom.
Thank you to the viewers.